In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
He has no more jokes.
They're broken.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host.
Real Captain and Tennille.
Jesus Christ. I gotta go. I'm actually busy in 10 minutes, so.
I am your host, Sean Donnelly. I am here joined with my co-host, Farrah Brooke, ladies and gentlemen. That's the voice you just heard making fun of me for my musical noises. Why are you letting them out to make sound effects and I'm not?
I'm not saying you're not, but those specific sounds you made alarmed me to my core. This is a side of you I haven't seen and never wanted to see. And I'm disturbed.
Well, thank you.
And now come to think of it, yeah, I've never seen you sing or like do anything musical, and that's for a good reason.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what? Really quickly, I'm going to introduce Kevin. Our guest today is my good buddy, my pal, super funny comic. You've seen him on Letterman. You've seen him on True TV. Kevin McCaffrey, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
You didn't chill me to my core, Sean.
Right, because you're a man and you can take it a little bit. You don't get weirded out by everything.
It was very
Wow.
I'll tell you. You know
Men shutting down women. What typical nonsense.
You also didn't terrify me. I think everyone's sounds are great.
I'll tell you
who
I heard sing over the weekend, or not over the weekend, this week. Who did I hear sing, Farrah? Farrah Brooke.
Oh, you missed my big song, though.
I heard you sing other songs on your Halloween show, and guess who has a beautiful voice, Kevin?
I heard it was Farrah Brooke.
Yes.
Oh, it's not beautiful.
Yes,
That's
it is.
I actually heard about Farrah's beautiful voice yesterday. It was also from Sean, but it was
Sean,
on another
you're telling
day.
people about this?
Yes.
It wasn't
How
just Sean.
embarrassing.
Someone else was talking about it too. Yeah.
Ew. What? I'm horrified
I
right
forget
now.
who brought it up. Maybe it was, I forget who it was. We were doing my radio show.
Mateo?
Mateo brought it up. Yes, Mateo,
who's a trained opera singer.
But
classically
he's never
trained.
heard me sing.
What?
I think that's why he was like, well, he did he?
He heard you sing somewhere.
He
Yeah.
had opinions. They were nice.
What is happening?
Everybody's talking about
A
it.
really good singer.
Mateo said that?
Yes. And I said it too, and we're friends. I thought that would kind of matter. But so Farrah Brooke is a fantastic singer.
That is great
This
news.
is hyperbole.
We can tell the whole story. Farrah at Caroline, she had a great holiday show, a Halloween extravaganza.
Thank God it's over. Oh my God.
I think that's how everyone feels about almost every show they do.
Yeah.
That's done, thank God.
Oh my God.
This life I've chosen, every bit of it is terrifying.
Yeah.
Just waiting for things to be over.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
horror.
And do you want to tell the story about?
There's no story, but you missed the opening song. I would be taking your praise if I knew you heard the opening song. I don't even know what little bit or something you heard. But
So
I heard you sing a couple of bars or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is our first big fight happened.
It did.
Moments before
I was expecting
my song.
Yeah.
I was singing Lady Gaga with back pain to open the show.
A reference that nobody gets.
No.
Now, Lady Gaga, you were singing
A few people understood it.
as Lady Gaga, who was having back pain?
Yeah, did you see the documentary?
I did not. But I assume her back hurts.
Yeah, she has fibromyalgia.
Oh, boy, that's a big
So,
one.
yeah,
man.
it's terrible. And I
You
do
should
love
call
Lady Gaga. And
Celino and Barnes. Get it on top of that. Isn't that one of those TV lawyer things to get?
Yeah, I think it's related to mesothelioma. Yeah. I watch Law & Order reruns during the day. I got nowhere else to be.
Same here. here, dude.
I love watching those shows during the day because it shows what the advertisers think about the people watching it.
Oh.
All the commercials are like, "Are you on drugs? Are you drunk? Are you gambling a lot? What is your issue?" Yeah.
Or are you 90? It's one of those.
Yeah, totally.
It's, are you drunk or do you need denture cream?
Do you need to sue someone?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm dying to sue someone.
Well, you want to sue me after you snapped at me?
Oh.
So you want to tell the story real quick?
Basically, Sean is the biggest diva I had on the show, on the lineup. You know, he's a very successful comedian, and I was so honored to have him on the show. And it started probably a day before with the diva activity where he was saying, I might have to go late, I might have to go early,
That's not
I
true.
go, all right, I'd love for you to open the show, but whatever you want. I got it this late, whatever. He's sending his requests. His manager told me to bring him champagne. I had to have a specific brand of champagne for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't come. But that was fine because I respect his artistry.
I would
so
love to
not
watch
true.
you drink champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you know me, I'm a big fan of the bubbly.
Champagne
You know that.
connoisseur. Anyway,
I'm a big Moet fan.
Yeah. So I had all his rider requirements ready at Caroline's, and then
I just wanted to make sure that I didn't screw you up, and I also made my other spot. That's what I was
the
trying to
weird
do.
thing you did was you came. I said you can go later, but you came at the beginning, but then had to leave and come back. It was a bizarre.
My friend Robert Dean was on the show, and I came with him because it's literally where I live now in Long Island City, it's like 4 stops on the train. So we went to 50th, walked over a block, I saw you, and I figured if it started right away, I could have ggone first for you. That's why I was there. And then I realized once it started, I was like, oh no, this will be too late. I left at like 7:40.
The key word there, everybody, is once it started.
It sounds like maybe it wasn't at the announced time.
Lady Gaga was about to go on stage.
Oh, this is what she's
I
talking
was
about.
freaking the fuck out because I do not sing. This is not part of my act. I do not do songs as a comedian, and I do not sing on stage. So this was a special occurrence, and I was very nervous about it. And Sean is
Unbeknownst
I'm going to try
me.
not to curse. Excuse me. Is coming up to me right in the second when he's the announcer's announcing it, and Sean's like, "I'm gonna go, okay?" I'm like, "I know you're gonna go," and I was like, "Go, fucking go!" And Sean was like, "Oh, I've never seen him look so rattled."
I did not expect it from my good buddy, my pal Farrah Brook.
Sure.
This is a trouble in paradise. We've had a honeymoon relationship.
I know, it's been a
this
pretty good
past
run.
year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this was our first.
Sean likes to check in emotionally.
Yeah.
100 times though he
Yes.
did 100 times.
No,
he told me. I
to
said
be honest,
it's fine, and then I'm about to go sing, and then he's like still there.
I was mistaken. If I knew that you were like getting ready to go up, I didn't.
I told you that.
I didn't realize you were like. I didn't know about the song, that it would be a full song. I didn't realize it was a whole thing. So I didn't think like if I host a show, I could talk to somebody 2 minutes before I get up
It
there.
wasn't 2 minutes. He was already announcing my name. I could talk 2 minutes, and we did talk. Anyway.
All right. Well, I apologize.
Thank you for your kind words, Sean.
I apologize.
Can we mend this rift?
Yes, we can. We already did. When I got back, you were fine. I thought you were going to be mad at me when I got back.
Wow.
I like that you mended it and then you unmended it here. It was mended, then it's now unmended.
It was
Maybe
fine.
it's remending.
It was totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't hold a grudge, and I was just honored that Sean was bringing his art to the stage.
I was. I brought my comedic art to Caroline's
yes,
that night.
that's what you call it.
Well, let's. I'm glad that's done with and that's behind us. Man, this just makes our
Sean's
friendship
a
that much
diva.
deeper.
If you want to send him, fancy stuff, and that's.
Want to send me Jess Green M&Ms? Go for it.
I like that's your idea of it.
Well, that's the famous one. You never heard that?
Who was that?
Van Halen used to put in. They wanted a bowl of Jess Green M&Ms in their green room because so that they knew that they were reading the rider.
It was a test.
It was a test.
Yeah, basically.
Nice,
The rider.
nice. That's a boss move.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah, it's a real jerky test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, today we kind of have We're at a crossroads. I'm hoping people like this episode. Not
A lot of confidence early.
We don't do it for the people.
We do. I'm very insecure. And what happens is this topic, what me and Kevin were talking about what Kevin could defend. And we came up with something that's perfect, but also it's not going to be a pure defense because I'm not going to attack it like I've attacked other movies, but I will attack parts of this movie. It's a bad movie.
I'm going to read the stats, then you'll say what the movie is.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
It's a rated R.
Right.
I want a drum roll
Flying
effect
start.
for this. Rated R, 1998 mystery crime film.
So it's a 20-year-old movie.
Running 1 hour and 39 minutes. We have a 6 out of 10 IMDb rating. We have a 40% Rotten Tomatoes rating. That's a stinker.
From critics or audience?
That's critics. That's the regular one.
40% regular Rotten Tomatoes. Then a 1 out of 4 from Roger Ebert.
Oof.
And then, our favorite controversial thing we like to add. The Google users, 72% like this movie.
There we go.
Who are these? Is there one of these Google
These
users on
Google users
Thorazine?
are very positive.
They love everything.
Google's a happy place,
look,
man.
Yeah.
I can just put a thumbs up or a thumbs down there, and then I think I'm a Google user.
You know what the thing
I think
is
it's more than you think it. Then you are, correct?
It's
yes.
such a skewed view because if you're going to search it on Google, you probably like it. And then you're hitting, oh, yeah, I like this. Thumbs up, I like this.
Well, I think in general, it's tough for me to hate a movie because once I'm watching it, I'm just going to it's at least going to be fine for me a lot of the time. It takes a lot for me to watch a whole movie and be like, I hate it.
See, I used to feel that way. When I was a kid, I would always say, there's no movie I wouldn't like. There's no movie. And even as I got older, I was like, yeah, any movie I see, I do like it. I do like it.
Yeah.
But now...
Starting to hate more?
Well, it's very
Movies
easy
are
to do
bad.
it. Well, not all movies are bad, but you're right.
Not
most
all, I
movies,
just said,
most
like-
movies are okay. Like,
Sure.
just
It's not what it used to be,
Right.
like where so much would go into what movies were made because not so many were made.
Well, less go into the theaters now. So like, when you go to the theaters, it's almost like people now when they go to the movie theater, like, well, you better impress me now because I'm going all the way to the theater for this, and I have a 60-inch television at my house, so I could watch this when it comes out on HBO or whatever.
And that's why it's so many products now that are series and sequels and like superhero things they already know that they're sold in. Did we announce the name of the movie yet?
Drum roll,
please. The movie today is Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes, 1998, Nick Cage, starring Nick Cage.
Brian De Palma directed.
I know, these are some big
I
names off
always
the top.
hear that name on this podcast.
Brian De Palma?
He did.
Yeah, we've heard of-
He's famous for Scarface. He did Scarface.
Another one I haven't seen.
People love it. I don't love it as much as people love it.
Right.
But,
If you were
and
a
then
rapper, you'd love it.
He did a movie with John Travolta called Blowout that I watched in a film class when I was in community college.
He's
known for sound. It's like a sound movie. What'd you say?
Yeah. Well, I think he's a guy that like film nerds got into.
Yes, absolutely. He actually reminds me of Oliver Stone the way he makes movies.
I can see
Oliver
that.
Stone, I think, is a bit of a hack. I think Oliver Stone just convinced people that he was an auteur.
Right.
Auteur.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yeah, totally.
I think that he's an artist. I don't think, because think about it, like, they're all Oliver Stone movies that are good. There's some good ones, but they're all just regularly good movies. They're not
So like JFK, was that?
JFK, but
Yeah.
JFK, I was a huge JFK. Well, speaking of JFK, that actually is appropriate. Well, before we get to Snake Eyes, all those documents just came out about a couple weeks ago with the JFK assassination. I was obsessed with the JFK assassination when I was a kid. Obsessed. Like when I was in high school, I read all the books and all that.
Well, he's our president. The Irish Catholic raised. He was the
Right,
one.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're Irish like that in your family, JFK is a big deal.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, the JFK movie is a lot of holes in that movie.
Oh,
Like,
sure. As there are in most conspiracy theories. in
But
general.
even the facts, like when they, like Donald Sutherland's character, and if you remember JFK, Donald Sutherland plays a guy named Mr. X that what's his name, Kevin Costner goes and meets up with on the mall in Washington D.C. and he gives all this crazy info like about the military-industrial complex and how this is all set up, and JFK was rocking that boat and that's why he got killed and the military was involved, all this crazy stuff, and it makes it seem like there was a guy that gave him all this info. And the real thing of it was it's not. That literally that one guy character is based on books, interviews, other people, like books that came out years after the assassination
Mm-hmm.
that Garrison had nothing to do with, something like that. Also, Garrison was a crackpot himself, and they don't. Like they're not honest in the movie at all. They make it
Sure.
seem like he's actually like this
He's a good fit
warrior.
for Oliver that way, I think.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like De Palma's very much this, and Snake Eyes specifically. It starts with a big film student like just J.O. sesh. Basically, it's a famous I think it's 11 minutes or something. There's one giant tracking shot.
Yeah.
That's one take that's going through the arena, and it's setting up almost every character in the movie, and they don't cut. And is that good? It is fun, and it actually is good for rewatching because Nick Cage nails it, sure, but not all the extras are nailing it. You know what I mean? So you rewatch this thing, it's not like all the extras nailed it on the first take, so you could just see weird people in the background in the audience of this boxing match where it's just like a grandma who's like looking off to the side, like people are not doing it.
Extras.
They're cheering at the wrong time, and it's great.
Well, I will say this. Another weird thing about this movie is doesn't it seem like this movie was filmed differently? Like the colors in this movie are like more vibrant than other movies.
Yeah, and I think it's got a lot of it's got a Vegas-y feel, which I guess makes sense because it's set in Atlantic City, but it feels that way where it's like a cheap version of that.
Yes, right.
Where it's just like it's glitzy, but they didn't want to pay enough to get the Vegas stuff.
No, they literally were like, oh, we're gonna make a soundstage that looks way chintzier than.
Yeah.
And I guess they must have used an arena. They're in Atlantic City. That's what it is.
Yes.
They're in
Yeah.
Atlantic City. So, right. So we're not gonna put this in.
We want a Vegas vibe, but we can't do Vegas. So let's do it here. But
Right.
that's fun. You see less Atlantic City movies, I think, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we can start off by kind of debating. And here's the thing: I'm gonna probably be in agreement with you. That's why it's not a defend your thing. Just bear with us, guys. It's a good topic to talk about. We'll go around the room here. There's a big debate. It's like Nicolas Cage, good or bad?
Da-da-dum.
Oh, sure. Well, the thing is, I think when he's good or
I
bad,
think it's a complicated answer.
it isn't because it's the same thing. Like his good is also his bad, and a great thing about Nick Cage is he never knows if he's good or bad. He doesn't know whether the movie's good or bad. He thinks every movie he does is leaving Las Vegas. He thinks finding a treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence is Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
He thinks this is Goodfellas that he's doing right now.
Yeah.
He cannot tell. He thinks Wicker Man is genuinely he's getting eaten alive by bees and fire, and he thinks it's genuinely dramatic.
Yeah,
because he's Nick Cage. He has no relation to reality. He's just being Nick Cage all
He's
the
in
time.
his own lane.
Yeah.
And I've already heard off camera he's the same
Really?
way. Remember when we talked about Con Air, when you watched Con Air?
Yes, of
And then-
course.
Which came out same year. What a
Same
year
year.
for Nick Cage.
It was a great year for Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Because I think there was
Nick
one other
Cage
one,
is
too, that he did
killing
that year.
it.
Right.
I like Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened was now he's like, nothing's going on. He's doing every movie he can do because he
Really?
owed a bunch of money in taxes or
Yeah.
something. Or
Because he started dating some 19-year-old waitress he met once, and he that night he literally picked her up, and they flew their helicopter from California to Vegas or something. And that's what Nick Cage does for a first date.
Yeah.
So that's why he has to make 100 movies a year.
because he comes from movie royalty. He comes from the Coppola
He's a
family.
Coppola.
So he's Francis Ford
I
Coppola's
didn't know
nephew,
that.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. He's been famous for 40 years.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
35 years.
Yeah, now...
Raising Arizona started it, maybe?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds about
And you
right.
look at Raising Arizona. You ever see Raising Arizona, Farrah?
No.
Of course not. Raising Arizona, it's a Coen Brothers movie. Was once again
Should I see that? We got to do another
Yeah, we can do
Farrah
a Raising
finally
Arizona.
sees it.
Yes, absolutely. Raising Arizona is a great Coen Brothers movie. It's like one of the best Coen Brothers movies. And Nicolas Cage is it's one of the best things he did. But almost like Al Pacino-ish, he wasn't Nick Cage yet. He was
Right.
Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage.
yeah, that's right.
He was understated. He was weirder. He was the acting was deeper. It wasn't as one note. It was you know how
Right.
Al Pacino, you have him in Godfather, right? Now that I'm saying Raising Arizona is Godfather, but Al Pacino used to be way more understated than he is.
Sure.
Now.
Well, he wasn't the impression of him.
He wasn't the impression.
Yeah,
of him.
and now Nick Cage is, and I think this is about when Nick Cage started to really be the impression of him is in Snake Eyes. Because this is it's sort of like if Ocean...
You're right. Literally that movie because
Yes.
the Con Air, he's not...
He's wacky, that accent. put the
It is
bunny.
wacky,
Yeah.
but I see it's not exactly the Nick Cage just yet.
Right. I think he's really... This is after he won the Academy Award, right? And so he's just like... Now I think he thinks any move he feels is correct. And this movie's basically Ocean's 11 if he was all 11. Like, he's like the whole thing where he's just like, he can do anything. And that tracking shot that's like, I think it really is something like close to 11 minutes, which is a real FU to like, everyone talks about the Goodfellas tracking shot, like famous coming through the kitchen.
One, yeah.
De Palma's like, I can do that times 5, and is it better? I mean, from a technical standpoint, it kind of is. You just think the Goodfellas shot is better because Goodfellas like a better movie.
Well, also the Goodfellas shot. The reason why the Goodfellas shot is so great because when it's happening, you don't think about how hard it is.
Oh,
People
sure.
thought about how hard that was after the fact.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes,
That's why they made the movie.
That's why they
for this shot.
Yeah, for this shot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, there's like. But De Palma does this. There's like sound things that he does, like when the guy is yelling, when the not the homeless guy, he's like almost like the drunk guy is yelling in the crowd,
right?
And he plays with the sound where it's like the gunshot goes off, he doesn't hear the guy. Another take, he does hear the guy. So, and that's a De Palma thing as well.
Well, and going back to the JFK parallel you made earlier, this is a very Zapruder filmy moment that's at the center of this movie, where basically what happens is...
yeah, break it down the plot. We usually do this anyway.
Sure.
As succinctly as you can, if you can tell the plot to Farrah of Snake Eyes.
So, it starts, Nick Cage, you find out he's a cop a little ways into the tracking shot. He just seems like a really, hey, sort of pointing at everybody.
He seems like kind of like a crook, to be honest.
Right.
He's dressed like a kind of pimpish.
He's a jerkier version of like Sean walking down a street in Manhattan, where Sean just knows everybody and is like joking with people. And,
wait, this is Sean.
Yeah.
Sean literally talks to every single person when you're walking with
I've
him.
said that before. Sean
and dog. Every person
Yes.
and especially every dog. Sean's having a conversation with.
I think Sean and I are both people who've never catcalled a woman, but catcall every dog we've ever met. Or it's just like, I'll be walking around, if we see a dog, I'll be like, ooh, that's a good one. You know?
As he leans down, starts petting it.
Right. So Nick Cage basically starts as like a shadier version of Sean, where he's like friends with everybody, busting balls, whatever. We find out, oh, he's a cop, but he's also kind of on the take. He's a crooked cop.
Yeah.
And
in Atlantic City.
Big...
in this circuit and like the arena circuit. You know,
right.
I don't know if he works that, but he, in Atlantic City. Which
Right.
is,
It's Atlantic City.
Depressing enough.
Big fight night. And the main thing that happens is Nick Cage is sitting up front. He's put a lot of money on the heavyweight champ, and the heavyweight champ goes down in a big upset. There's a lot of commotion, and then the Secretary of Defense of the United States is sitting next to him and gets assassinated. He gets shot.
Oh my God.
During
What?
the fight. So, and
Are you serious?
oh yeah, and during this
That is not the turn I thought this was taking.
And you cannot tell from the trailer either.
No.
you do not know that a cabinet
Farrah
member
watched the trailer.
What?
Yeah, so there's this assassination that happens in this while this big boxing match is going on, and during the shot, you see all these kinds of characters, like Sean said, the seemingly homeless man who's shouting something, and it's sort of like it's almost like the movie Clue, where there's just like archetypes of people. There's you're like, okay, there's a sexy redheaded lady, she's gonna be someone because she doesn't look like a real person. There's some girl who's like basically cosplaying as Marilyn Monroe, so it's like she's somebody, and then there's Kevin McAllister's dad from Home Alone, like character actor
John
alert.
Hurt.
Right, John Hurd's in the background. You're like, all right, he's going to play a part, and all those people do. So it's this big commotion. The guy gets shot, and then everyone is locked down in this arena for the duration of the movie, and Nick Cage has to find out what happened.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I love movies where people are stuck in a place.
Yeah, totally. It's like Clue that way a little bit. Yeah.
All right, I have to admit I haven't seen Clue.
Clue's great.
As you keep
Clue's unbelievable. You would
referencing it.
love Clue.
Mm-hmm.
You would
Really?
love it. Yeah. It's so good.
But they're locked down in this arena. May I point out, my wife pointed this out, the movie's called Snake Eyes, and you think it's like a gambling connection. This is a sports gambling thing. There's no snake eyes in sports gambling.
Yeah.
It's like they just came up with the title and were like, it doesn't really work, but whatever. Let's go with it.
Yeah, there's no gambling.
Right. Well, there's gambling
floor.
on the fighter, but that you don't roll snake eyes on a boxer. Like, it
Are
makes
they,
no
at
sense.
any point, are they on the floor of a casino? I don't even know if they are.
Not really.
I think it's
don't
only
so.
the arena that they're
Right.
in.
But so basically you go through and you don't know who the bad guy is, but you know it's kind of an inside job situation, and you have to, and I think it's a pretty solid mystery for a while, finding Nick Cage, try to find out who the bad guy is.
It is
And
for a while. and
Right.
then the wheels fall off like they've never fallen off.
I think it's, and there's so much going
And they're
on.
all stuck in this place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so no one can get out of this arena. Also, there's a hurricane outside.
Oh my God! Are you kidding?
No, there's a hurricane outside, and then I don't know how much we want to give away, but
Do
basically
the whole thing if you want. Yeah.
Basically, Gary Sinise is there, and it's almost like a Law and Order episode. Not to bring it up again, but when you look and you're like, who's the most famous person? Well, they're going to be the bad guy in this. Where if like Martin Short shows up on SVU, he did it.
Yeah.
Like he's not showing up to not do it. This is his dark
Yeah,
turn.
right, exactly.
So that's Gary Sinise, his best friend.
Even if a slightly famous character actor shows up on one of the Law and Orders.
Anyone you recognize, they touched the kid on a Law and Order SVU, no doubt. So it's sort of like that, and then Sinise basically tries to get.
Well, Sinise is like, I forget, because is his brother or his buddy?
It's his friend.
It's his friend. It's
Good
his friend.
friend.
Good friend
Yeah.
from back in the day.
He says his best friend.
It's Nicolas Cage's good friend, his best friend.
Yeah.
And then he meets up with him, and the whole point is he kind of plays Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
Right. And then and he's having a great time until he figures it out, and then Nick Cage suddenly turns into a really good cop after being like a twisted cop. He sort of saves the lady who's cosplaying as Marilyn Monroe, who's Carla Gugino in
That's
the film.
right. Yeah.
And
From Watchmen.
young Carla Gugino, and he saves her, but she tells him that it's his friend who did it, and now he doesn't know what to do. He sees the evidence, and his friend turns on him, and he has to decide if he's going to be the crooked man he's always been, or is he going to draw a line here and save the lady.
Right, and save the lady, because his friend basically is like, look the other way.
Mm-hmm. We'll pay you.
We're with the government. We'll take care of this. We whatever. This is. We'll pay you. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
we'll pay you. And he's taken bribes throughout the film from other people he's trying to get on the inside. But it is so heavy-handed in a way that I like, that at one point they once Gary Sinise offers him money to just look the other way on this and let him do away with the lady who's the last witness, he literally looks down at the ground and sees a dollar bill covered in blood. It's blood money. It's like, Jesus Christ, but that's great.
It's like, how literal
my
can you
God.
get?
Oh, you could, and
What
he
the
does.
hell?
And Gary Sinise does a whole he does a thing where as soon as he's caught, he walks in. He's like, "Well, you got me," and he does the Dr. Evil, like, I'll explain everything to you for no reason. And I wrote down, this is so Dr. Evil. And then a minute later, when he offers Nick Cage a bribe, he goes, "What's it going to take? 300,000, 500,000, 750?" And then he goes, $1 million. And I'm like, he literally offered $1 million like Dr. Evil, and they were doing it sincerely in 1998, which is the same time it was a joke in Austin Powers.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it's
Austin
great.
Powers was like 95 or something. Yeah, right.
And it's the same thing.
Now,
Yes.
now that we've done this,
yes.
how can you defend this movie? Because here's the thing, I can.
Yeah,
if
so
I
then
had
is
defend- I
the
like
woman who gets
this movie.
killed the
What's that?
Secretary of State?
Of Defense.
Like, it's a
No,
guy.
the Secretary of Defense that gets killed. Then is he just his dead body still stuck in there? What's the
they take him away. He dies later.
He's just. There's not like he's gonna give any info.
But someone just assassinated him, but then that person's in this arena, right?
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yeah, and then there's a whole. It's actually a really cool scene where, the real assassin gets killed. Like Gary Sinise is in on it with the assassins. Like, he's in on it, but then he pretends like he isn't, and he knows where the guy is, so he pretends to be the hero, and he shoots the box where the guy's hiding, where he was shooting from, and kills the guy who actually did the shooting, so they think everything's cool.
Right.
But it's not.
And
There's a whole grander conspiracy.
Right. And it's the kind of thing, I think one reason why it is actually fun is because even though once it's very obvious who the bad guy is, and they really hammer it home, like, as soon as you know it's Sinise, he literally has, like, red light surrounding him as he's, like, walking down. It's like, okay, he's the bad
Just
guy.
give him a
Got
t-shirt
it.
that says, "I'm the bad guy."
Yeah, I'm the bad guy now. And even once you know it's the bad guy, you do still want to know, okay, but how did they tie it together? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah, and it also makes, like, the type of bad guy that he becomes, it's like, it makes no sense. Like, he has it's not like it's like, oh, I'm a bad guy that's like struggling to deal with what we're doing here, and like I have to do it for the greater good of the country.
That is what he says.
Oh, that is what he says.
Well, because
right,
basically,
but he's also a psychopath. Like he's like murdering people at will. So he's not.
Yeah,
he does say it's for the country, but he's also like.
He goes a little Joker from Batman, where it's like he's killing all the co-conspirators.
Yeah,
who get in the way
exactly.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, with this guy, not that he flipped, but I'm like, well, he is just a sociopath, and he never knew. Like they were good buddies, but he never knew this guy was a complete psychopath, and he's pretending like it's for the betterment of the country when it's it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's inside jobby, and they use it as basically it's a missile defense program that the Marilyn Monroe looking Gugino was.
She was trying to put the kibosh on.
Right, she was trying.
I think the missiles weren't ready yet. Is that what
the missiles weren't ready
what
yet.
In the world,
it's a lot going on.
Ridiculous.
That's when the wheels fall off. When you find out what the grand conspiracy is. If it was just like I'm working for a neo-Nazi group that doesn't like this guy's politics, because what he puts in the politics is he's almost like a JFK character, and he's going to become president, and we don't want him to. That would have been so much better if the buck stopped there.
I think one thing they do that is good is like so often when there's a conspiracy like this, you end up not even caring really what the conspiracy is. It just goes to good guys and bad guys at the, I do at least, where it's like, it's hard, it's a lot to hold in your head. So you just want to see the people get theirs. You want to see the good people survive. You want to see the bad people get it. I think more than one viewing for Snake Eyes, it's good for like looking to see like, can I figure it out? What you could do, like, can I figure out the mystery? Where are the hints? Because they keep redoing that one scene of the shooting,
like,
and you see what the characters are doing a couple of times. You're like, who's
the bad guy, who's not? Yeah, you're right. But also, I think what happened was the movie bombed way harder. It's so hard. Like it bombed. It did not do well. Like nobody.
Budget wise, what it made.
What it made.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how much it made. Do you know how much it made?
I'll find out.
Yeah.
40% of Rotten Tomatoes. Like even people like we'll probably put out this episode, and people are like Snake Eyes.
Sure.
And think about it. It was a Nicolas Cage movie with Brian De Palma directing. Like I think they probably thought it was going to be this insane classic movie.
Right.
It cost an estimated $73 million to produce.
That's a huge budget.
And returned $103 million worldwide.
Wow.
That's bad. From 73 to 100.
20 years ago?
But received mixed to negative reviews from critics.
But that's the thing. Like they could have made.
I mean,
this...
look at this poster. This is ridiculous.
I remember seeing that and like
terrible.
Being almost confused into being interested by it, which is I think
what that's what happened. Like
Snake Eyes. Watch closely.
It's the type of movie that I knew it was a bad movie, but it's on Netflix right now, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch Snake Eyes. And I knew the ending once it started. I was like, oh, yeah, this is what happens.
Right.
But I was still like, I got to watch it. Like, and it's a testament to Nicolas Cage, maybe. It's like, I just want to watch,
You watch him ham it up. I mean, when at some point he gets beaten up by the boxer, everyone's involved at every turn.
Well, De Palma says there's a lot of discussion in Snake Eyes about why do we reveal who we did it so soon. Well, the problem is that it isn't about who did it. It's about a mystery relationship, two people, and how finding that out affects their relationship. Those kind of procedural movies are extremely boring.
I mean, that doesn't sound like he's doing a great job of selling his movie.
He's trying
responding to the negative response.
He's trying to say that the who hey, there's a reason the whodunit has worked for so long.
Yeah.
Right? Because people love, like, oh, shit. People like a good turn at the end.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think De Palma thought he was doing like a 90s version of Casablanca, too, where it's like this sort of dark hero who's made mistakes in the past. Also, he writes it
like... He's trying to make it film noir.
Yes, very noirish. I mean, specifically down to the, like, there's two sexy ladies. One of them's going to be bad, one of them's good. Like, guess which one's good? Is it the one wearing all white? Yes, it is. That is the good one. Is the all red one bad? Yes, she is.
Vixen.
It's so film noir, and even to like the end, they do like kind of a long epilogue where Nick Cage was raised as a hero, but then the corruption came out, and the last line of the movie is him like with a cigarette on the boardwalk of Atlantic City, and he goes, least I got to be on TV. And it's like, yes, that is great.
Can you follow a storyline in this? It sounds all over the place.
Yeah, you can. You get what it is. But actually, in the beginning, it is kind of confusing.
I found the trailer confusing.
Sure. That's what I mean.
I thought Nick Cage was a fighting coach.
I also
Fair.
thought another reason like this movie sucked. I don't take that side of it. 'Cause
Sure.
like I said, I watched it again. I watched it for the beginning of the movie because I love the idea. This whole thing, I wish it was contained to the boxing world. Like, not the boxing world, but I'm like, I just wish it was, I don't know, maybe I wish it was just a straight up procedural whoddunit. Maybe I wish,
Sure.
or a procedural cop
Right,
thing.
and that's
where it was
kind
like,
yeah, and I think that's what kind of got me into it, because I we talk about Law and Order. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like a big one of those in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
Also, the way Nick Cage acts. It is so crazy. This is like the beginning of crazy Nick Cage, who we've had for 20 years now. But it's at the beginning, like it's it's the whodunit thing, and I'm like, I can't tell if he's being crazy to like trick the other characters, or this is just how he acts now. Like, because it sort of would work either way. If he just like snapped out of it at one point, and was like, okay, let's get serious. But that never happens. He's just this crazy.
No, he never gets like heartfelt or gets like understated or anything. He's always just kind of like, even when he's like angry. Like, well, I guess when he's angry, it makes sense for him to yell. But I mean, like. Right. Even at the end was like, I guess the only time he gets like kind of somber and he's saying those lines from what I remember.
Yeah.
He's like that in what's the movie I saw on the plane?
I don't know.
The Nick Cage movie that we were just talking about.
Oh, there's a lot.
The movie I saw for this podcast.
Oh, Con Air?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's the same way in that. Like, he doesn't have much emotion. It's just... or like range of personality.
He's playing, like, cool, like
he's him.
Yeah, but now
even in Con Air, it's like he ranges from relaxed to mildly concerned.
He was very Eastwoody. It was his version of Eastwood in Con Air, I think. Yeah. That's his like, stoic hero. That's not him here. He's best. He has a scene where he's walking to try to find the girl who he locked up in a room for her own safety, I guess, but she's not thrilled about it. After he gets beaten up, and watching Nick Cage walk around beat up is like watching a not great improv actor play drunk, where he's literally bouncing off walls.
Yeah, you're right.
Like he's pinballing around.
Like what are you on the Con Air plane?
Yeah,
what's happening?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Is there turbulence in the stadium right now? And I think one of the things it mainly boils down to is if you want to watch Nick Cage be Nick Cage, like fun, crazy Nick Cage, this has that.
Okay.
It does have it. He is fun, crazy Nick Cage. And like you said, it's the beginning of it. It's like, it's the nexus of the...
And there are just some crazy...
origin.
And there's some crazy fun lines in it. Let me give you two. I was 3 feet from a known terrorist, and my eyes were buried in a broad's tits. That's a line that's said by Gary Sinise. Now let me give you one other said by Nick Cage. That was a plan to give you a boner, and congratulations, it worked. That's a real line.
Okay. Wild.
You know what else annoyed me with this movie?
What's a boner?
Is a boner? What the hell's a boner? Is the boxer they use? I don't think they mentioned him being old, and he's way too old.
The boxer.
That actor, like he's just the champ in the movie.
Yes,
but he look like the guy himself is probably in his 50s. Like
they didn't even dye his hair.
No,
it's like salt and pepper, and he's got his trunks hiked up to his
way.
He
looks like Ed Grimley if he was a boxer.
Yeah, if a thick Ed Grimley was a boxer, that would be this guy. How come no boxing movies can get boxing right? Nobody, like, it never looks real. Like, Rocky, they never come close to making contact with this. I know that's the earlier Rockies, mainly.
Yeah.
But, like,
you mean the actual fighting?
Yeah, they never get the fighting right. And in this one, too, we were talking about sounds earlier. It's funny. That's also part of the reason I like this movie is because, and Nick Cage does this a lot, where there can be, technically speaking, high stakes in a movie, but I'm never too worried about people dying in a Nick Cage movie, so I'm never going to be sad about it. Right. And I like that. Some people would say that takes away the dramatic tension, and that's a respectable stance.
Kind of muddies the waters a little bit.
But there's a reason why I'm never going to watch Manchester by the Sea. I'm never going to watch Passion of the Christ. There are movies that are just fucking bummers that I don't want to see, and Nick Cage doesn't give me that.
Manchester by the Sea, there's the Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
The fight scenes in this purposely are supposed to be fake because he like pretends to knock him out, and then he's on the ground, and then the champ's on the ground.
There's a ghost punch.
Well,
A phantom
we call him
punch.
a phantom punch.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be this big dramatic scene where he's talking to the champ and he's going, "It was a phantom punch!" And he
Yeah.
freaks out on him. And that's when he's supposed to be like, "Oh my God," he's really laying into him.
Yeah, and even that's very On the Waterfront, where the boxer has a version of his own, like I could have been a contender, where he says like, boxing was the one thing that mattered, and I let them take it from me, basically to accept money to take a dive.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and you're not. That's another thing too. It's like the guy's too old, and I'm not buying that from him. Like I'm not buying him as like a sad boxer that is not making it now because he is on the take. You know
What
I'm
did they
saying?
do with all the extras during this? Like, since everyone's stuck in the arena.
Well,
this is what is this is the most interesting point for me,
Sure.
is that they're stuck. There's a hurricane outside.
Yes.
They just show giant scenes of the extras screaming and yelling down hallways when it first happens, and they like the cops show up and they shut everything down.
Then
And
by the end, is someone like knitting or something? Like,
You don't really see it. They
I don't
clear
think
the
you can say
arena.
oh, they do.
They clear the arena.
They
Yeah.
clear-
See, I thought it'd be cool. This whole thing's happening, and it's like a packed arena with audience members
Running around the
everywhere.
whole time. It's like that at the beginning. Also, I mean, it's like that at the beginning, which ends up being a pretty high percentage of the movie. It's like a 90-minute, basically, drama, but you get the first 11 minutes where it's all crazy, and they keep replaying that. So
They replay it?
yeah, Zapruder film-like, where they keep going back to, like, check the
Yeah.
footage and piece apart, like, what
they go to-
character's
they
doing
go-
what and for what reason.
Same scene, they just go to each different vantage point. So it's like,
Yeah.
where were you? I was up here. All right, well, this is what happened up here, and they show you what happened up there, and then, or if you're down by the ring, and then they show it from Nicolas Cage's eyes, and then
Yeah.
from the champ's eyes, and then they literally have a scene where you're the champ in the ring in the fight, and you're looking around for the signal, and the signal's the guy, or the drunk guy who yells, and he goes, "Here, bring the pain," and then the shot goes, and you get knocked down. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's all orchestrated thing, and. If you have to give it up for anything, it's that. That's the most. It is. Think about how hard film-wise it is to coordinate.
I think
that.
it can be a film nerd movie in that way, but it is very clear that De Palma was doing this movie where he's like, the way I shoot it's gonna be interesting, the mystery's gonna be interesting, I'm gonna let the actors do whatever. Like there's not a lot of actor directing. It's like, we hired Nick Cage for a reason, Nick, go nuts, and he's like, gladly. And
Yeah.
then he goes nuts.
Well, also by this point, if it's the same year as Con Air, I'm wondering if he did on this what he did on Con Air, which was he was like rewriting scenes and changing how the movie went during the movie.
This would be tricky to do that, but
Well, yeah,
I bet he rewrote what
well-
he's doing all the time.
Sure, and
Yeah.
the last 20 minutes. That's why to go after
Nick
what,
Cage sounds fun to hang out with.
That's what I'm
well-
saying. Of all the reasons to watch this movie, it's like, let's get in there with Nick Cage.
that Brian De Palma quote is bullshit. I'll tell you why, because that's why they wait till the end to tell you who done it. Because if you set up a who done it and you tell them in the middle or 20, 30 minutes in, nobody gives a shit the rest of the movie. And like we don't care this relationship between them. Like if you set up building up a who done it and then you make it about this mysterious relationship as you call it, you don't care about the characters enough in the relationship to give a shit what happens to them.
Yeah, I think he's just wrong about that. I think because it's just, I think one thing that does work in this favor is they don't waste a lot of time dragging you along.
Yeah.
I think like thing happens. Because there's a lot of movies where it's a mystery and you get to a point in the movie where you're like, okay, I know the next 10 minutes are just going to be bullshit because this has to go a certain length. I don't
Yeah.
think they really do that
No,
here.
okay, so that's your defense. of
Yeah,
that, doing
it's
that.
it's like they kind of
They
get
cut
to
out
shit.
the fat a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they cut out the fat, but then there's still more movie, and you kind of
Yes.
have your fat is at the end, so you can kind of be like, well, now I know, and now it's a total. You could defend it that way, where it's like, oh, well, now it's a totally different movie. But if it was like a better, if you did it like who done it, middle of the movie, this is who did it. Now it's insane, awesome action movie.
Right.
Now it's we're on the run. Well, maybe we get out of the stadium. We're on the
Right.
run. We get out of the stadium. This guy's got to make his plane by a certain time. We have to get to Gary Sinise's plane by accident. That would have been a better
And then his
fucking
plane
movie.
is Con Air.
And his plane is Con Air.
Boom!
Exactly.
Back to back, drive-in, double feature.
This is a
Run it right
nightmare.
through.
No, what I'm
God.
saying
This is a
is,
nightmare.
you would have had
That's
me.
why you watch the movie.
I don't want to see Nick Cage for like more than an hour.
Well, right here, I feel like unless it's a comedy, usually
Oh, we
movies are
had
closer
what
to
it
two.
was,
But
yeah.
It's like an
No,
hour 30 something.
Yeah, well, it's not that long at all.
It is funny. They do a weird 5-minute epilogue of him being taken down for corruption at the end after Sinise is already taken care of, which is just it's almost how people become a celebrity now and then their reputation falls apart, like Ken Bone or anyone who gets hired on SNL, where it's they've been racist the whole time. That happens to Nick Cage at the end.
Yeah, which
Really?
is kind of
Oh my, this movie. It doesn't
because
quit.
I think that's his attempt as hey, it's not a completely happy ending. We
Right,
didn't make
that's
it.
his trying to be noir about it.
Yeah, that's him being this is our flawed hero, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, now we come to the point in the show. We have now, if you can do this, 3 reasons. I know we both defended it and didn't defend it at the same time, but can you give 3 reasons why you're defending Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage?
Sure. Number 1, because it is the beginning of Nick Cage as we know it. It's the origin of current Nick Cage.
It's the
Spooky
it's the God
Cage.
particle. It's not the
Yes.
God particle. The big blast of
Yes.
the big blast
Of
that we
Nick
know
Cage.
as Nick Cage.
This is
the
Cage.
universe of Nick Cage.
Yes, the first time I think they really took the reins off and he went nuts and people didn't know he was nuts yet, so people were just sort of going along with it. That's fun. Watching him just enjoy himself is worth it, I think.
Okay.
'Cause
That's a good one.
Yeah,
and
that is a good one.
Yeah. And then 2, I think the mystery's all right. Like I said, even once you find out who done it, piecing the parts together and just if you like doing a puzzle, it's okay, can I beat the movie and get there before they do in terms of how the people
Figuring it
interlock?
out.
Yes, I think the mystery is solid. And 3rd, I think it's like I said before about the dramatic tension. I think it's nice that you can watch this and know there's no chance you're going to be sad no matter who dies. You can watch this and you can.
You don't give a shit about the character.
No, it's just fun. It's it's good for an airplane movie. It's a good conversation
so the
movie.
defense is, you don't care about the characters, which is a good thing. You watch someone begin to have a breakdown, which is a good thing.
That is a good thing, sincerely.
Regardless.
Yes.
Especially with that breakdown.
Also, yeah, go ahead.
Wait, what was the second reason?
It was the mystery. The mystery's all right.
Oh, yeah.
And you're trying to figure out a mystery. There's tons of movies like that. The most chilling part of the movie, I will say, is at the end, for some reason, Carla Gugino on the boardwalk asks Nick Cage how old he is, and he goes 35. And I was like, oh my God, that's my age. He's easy 50. And even scarier at Wikipedia, he was 34 at this time.
Oh, really?
Yuck. Yeah, it is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Farrah, will you see the movie?
This is a tough one. And
Yeah, I feel
one
good about that.
hand, I'm very intrigued by this idea that everyone's locked in the arena. I think that's a fun, interesting concept.
Okay.
This is similar to Con Air, which I liked for that reason. Also, the defense has been pretty good.
Thank you.
It has.
It's compelling because
right
he
there at the end
brings
with the
up
3 reasons.
right. He brings up things that I actually would enjoy seeing. Maybe they weren't necessarily in the intention of the film,
Sure.
but
So what the big verdict is, because we have to wrap up.
yes,
Yeah!
you did it, buddy.
I will
I
watch Snake Eyes.
I feel great about that. I also think Snake Eye, you might not turn it on, but if it's on, I think you won't turn it off.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go out of my way to
course
see it.
not.
Let's be realistic. But
Yeah.
if it was on, sounds interesting. But
Yep.
then again, the trailer was so confusing. I imagine watching this is kind of frustrating.
It can be, but it's
Like
fun.
to
It is
follow.
fun. There is a
It seems
funness to
fun.
it.
There's
Yeah.
something different about it. You get to flash back and
That's
all
true.
that. And I got to see this
Well, you
11-minute
did it.
shot.
Hell
You did it.
yeah.
She's going to watch it.
Yeah.
Kevin, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank
today.
you
Did
for
have
having
fun?
me, both y'all.
Would you like to plug anything?
Sure. I have my own little podcast, College Stories. Collegestories.org is the website. You've done it, Sean.
I have.
It's
It's a
a
blast.
very great story. And I host a show first Thursday of every month at Union Hall called Serious Matters. And the final thing, I'm headlining a week recording an album, headlining a week, Zany's Chicago, right before Christmas. Recording an album December 22 and 23, Zany's Chicago.
Whoa, that's great.
Yeah, baby.
Oh.
And Farrah, would you like to plug anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. There we go.
So happy. not to have
And
anything
let's
to
say
plug.
thank you to Alex from Showbiz
What about
Studios.
you? You want to plug something, Shawnee?
I'm at Shawnee Time on Twitter. At Defend Your Movie is the show's account, and Instagram, all that jazz. check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/defendyourmovie.
Yes.
And what
Please
else?
check it out.
Oh, and I will actually
I have
next
to
week.
read the names of our new Patreon.
Real quick, next week I'll be at Rooster Teeth Feathers in Sunnyvale, California.
I hear that's great.
It's a good place.
Yeah.
And I will be there from, I believe it's November 9th to the 12th. So if you're in California and you want to come see me, go to Rooster Teeth Feathers. And and if you come up and tell me you're a
Rooster Teeth
Defend Your Movie
Feathers.
fan, I'll buy you a drink. If you're a Defend Your Movie fan, come by, I'll buy you a drink. Thank you to Showbiz Studios, patreon.com/defendyourmovie. What's the names there, Farrah? You got some more?
You know what? I'm going to call them out at the top of next week's episode because this is kind of the dregs. If you're still listening, hi.
Absolutely, we'll do it at the top. No
we'll do
problem.
it at the top next week. Get on our Patreon. We're putting new content on there all the time. It's so exciting. It's so fun. Also, shout out to all the cute, amazing young girls that were Moana for Halloween.
Oh, God.
Oh, I saw some pictures and I was
She loves Moana.
moved. Ah.
Lovely.
Yeah, awesome Moanas.
So, special shout out to a lot of people. for
Awesome.
Moana.
And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much, and I love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
There's a time